Welcome to the Money Tree Real Estate Investor Podcast, where we learn from real estate professionals across the industry. They will share about how they got into real estate, the big wins they have celebrated, the mistakes they have made along the way, and the advice they have for anyone following in their footsteps. Money really does grow on trees. Hey everybody, it's William Hollins here for another episode of the Money Tree Real Estate Investor Podcast. I've got a special guest today, all the way originally from Brazil, Victor Leite. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit more about what you got going on.
William, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'm blessed and thankful to be on this platform of yours. A little bit about myself. So I was born in Brazil, and I immigrated to the States when I was a young man. Going after that American dream, as most of my family members told me, you go to school, you get good grades, you get a profession, and you're all set, I went the medical route. I thankfully got my medical degree in training and Washington, D.C. and met my wife there. My wife also practiced medicine. And, once we finally got through all that and we were in practice, we were left with a mountain of student loan debt, I got to tell you. And it was such a thorn on our side. And, at that time, we really had kind of more of that David Ramsey mindset of like, debt is bad debt, get out of debt, no debt. And so we developed a plan to work hard and pay down that debt. So we got, full-time positions, and then we got second jobs. And man, we were working 60, 80-hour plus work weeks, holidays, weekends, nights, overnights, kind of passing each other, not seeing each other at all. And we thankfully reached our goal after a couple of years. We finally paid down that enormous amount of school debt. But in the process of it all, we burned ourselves out. I mean, anyone who is listening, who has, been in healthcare, especially with COVID, and not just like doctors, I'm talking about like all advanced practitioners, nurses, physical therapists, occupational therapists, respiratory therapists, all you guys know, like the burnout is real. It's a real, and so one long day after death and dying, my wife and I, we kind of convene and we talk about like, hey man, is this how we want life to keep going? Like we need to have a new general path. And so we decided to set the reset button, and we decided to take a sabbatical. We grabbed 2 backpacks and we just took off, and we just traveled the world, kind of nomad style on a shoestring. Right. So, and, during that travel, we did a lot of soul searching, a lot of, goal setting, a lot of, reflecting. And upon return of that travel, we went back into our medical positions, but we came back with a new refound sense of direction. Like, what, we have a different path that we want to focus on. And through our self-education, we learned that real estate was a part of a lot of people's financial freedom path. And so we decided to take a focused direction towards real estate, and we got our start in the fix and flip renovation model systems. And we started with one project that we did, and one project we learned, and we went to the second, and then the second went to the fourth, and the fourth to the eighth, and then we kind of scaled our way up to over 150 plus kind of fix and flip projects. And then we kind of transitioned our efforts to building a significant single family BRRRR portfolio. And through that, we reached financial freedom, and kind of we just, transitioned our energy and efforts now to where we are today in multifamily. We're multifamily operators and syndicators, and now we're just kind of focused on, providing the education and the opportunities for others around us, kind of to do the same.
Victor, that's amazing, man. You just touched on so many different topics, and I want to hit all of them. But before we dive too much into the real estate conversation, I'd love to hear a little bit more about your world travels. That sounds like an incredible experience.
Yeah, it's a priceless experience that not many people have the opportunity to do, and we're so thankful that we were able to place ourselves in that position to do it. And trust me, it wasn't easy to do, man, to leave. Everybody thought I was nuts. You're leaving healthcare, leaving all this, you're losing money, man. Like, no, it's like time and goals and bucket lists. We thought to ourselves like, we wanted a family, and we wanted a home, and we wanted things like that, but we didn't think we were able to do this. And so once we went through it and we learned about so many different places, different cultures, different religions, different foods, tolerances to others, and just seeing it from a different lens, it kind of just changed our perspective on everything.
What was your favorite place that you went during that? What did your kids get to go with you, or was that prior
So
to?
right. That was before the kids came into
Okay.
place. And it was just me and my wife. And man, I don't have just one, dude. But if I were to put like a top three places that most people don't go to that we went to that we loved, obviously, from Brazil. And so a lot of people don't know about Brazil itself because it's a Portuguese speaking country. But the northern parts of Brazil are some of the most beautiful places you can possibly go to see. We also had beautiful experiences in countries like Vietnam, and the culture, the food, the beauty of it that I didn't even realize was there. And then places like Myanmar, where you can probably just not even point out on a map, but we spent time in Myanmar and the temples of Bagan, and we did a lot of, you know, reflecting, meditation, spirituality, mindset stuff that kind of just is this just priceless memories that we're forever gonna just hold inside us.
And that sounds cool. I love that so much. I'm a big traveler. I've been to Taiwan, been to Spain. That was a trip with my dad.
Oh yeah.
Amazing. Canada as well, and Kenya. So
Oh man, it changes you, doesn't it? It just gives you a
it really
different
does.
lens.
It does, yeah. And one of my good friends here in Dallas is actually from Brazil. His name is Walmy. Really awesome guy. So I'm hoping at some point I can go and visit with him.
Oh, of course. Yeah, let me know. We can maybe jump on a flight real quick. I'd love to. I've traveled all over that country, up, down, left, and right. It's just as big as the United States, and every region's got a different flavor to it, just like the United States. So yeah, you should. You should definitely give it a shot.
Definitely, man. That's awesome. So I know you talked about you started out in real estate with the BRRRR method and the fix and flip model. So most people, I think that's their first exposure to real estate as well. It's something that it feels easy within your grasp. It's not easy to do, but it's within your grasp. It's within your financial abilities and capabilities and contacts and network. So it sounds like you did that on a little bit different scale than most people. So tell me about that process. It doesn't seem like you did that by yourself. Is that an accurate statement?
Oh, of course, man. You can go fast by yourself, but you can go really far as a team. That's what John Wooden said. And of course, no, I mean, in the beginning, just like everyone else, it's like you have so many different ideas or so many different ways of doing it. And you're really just focused on your own kind of direction and path. And you want to not give a lot of control to others and things like that. But as we developed our business plan and as we progress through our experiences, and building our teams and systems of support and bringing in our partners and things like that in, like, started realizing that, you know, the ability to grow and scale requires a team around you and a team of intelligent people with the same values and same direction that you're going towards. And so that's kind of where we kind of went. It's a break in kind of point, but I'm thankful that we did it. But looking back at it, I mean, I really wish that we would have gotten started sooner, earlier, and had network and teams around us to really get us further faster.
Definitely. No, I completely understand that. And something I'm sure somebody has said this exact quote before, but something that I think about a lot, and I'm gonna say I'm gonna attribute this quote to myself. But like true growth and true change occurs when you start giving up control.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
and that concept is so powerful. I want to be in control of everything. I want to be the boss. I want to, call all the shots. But it's when I take a step back and I let other people step in, who honestly are probably more skilled in those areas than I am and more passionate about it. That's a concept that's talked about a lot in a lot of different real estate books, etc. And that's when big things start really happening.
No doubt, man. It's a lot of your mindset, to be honest with you, right? 80% of it is your mindset, right? So 20% of it is just mechanicals. And so it's breaking through these limiting beliefs that you have initially early on. And as you have more bandwidth, more experiences, more trust in your systems or your partners, then you can really just let go. As you say, it's like your belief tables. If you can imagine a table, it's got four legs, right? It's not just, you can't hold all four legs at one time. You really have to try to focus on doing what you believe you can do best and what you can bring to this team. And then as you start, finding your ways, and I usually say bringing in those all stars to help you hold that table up, then that table is sturdy and strong and can withstand a lot of things.
Definitely, man. So yeah, this we usually don't get to talk about these types of things, but if you're comfortable with it, I'd love to ask you, what were some of the limiting beliefs that you had as you started going down the path of real estate investing? And, what did you do to kind of work through those and, to get to where you are now?
Gosh. Wow. I mean, that's a good question. And I mean, honestly, there's a long list of limiting beliefs that I had, but it's more of like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have the education. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. I'm too young for this. Like, I don't have a degree in this. I don't have the network or the kind of, contacts that other people have, and all these different limiting beliefs that you have that you just have to try to work through and focus on developing a new belief system, a new belief table, and kind of getting rid of those, we call them those saboteurs in your mind, these conscious kind of negative
Mhm.
mindset beliefs, and try to focus on the positivity. What's within your grasp, what's it within your control, of controlling your path forward. And so those are the things that I really focused on in itself, and working on every day in every way, trying to make myself better, and every day in every way focusing on moving, inch by inch, because inch by inch, an inch becomes a foot by foot, a foot becomes a yard. And so I kind of had to work through it. And honestly, I'm still working at it to this day. We can always improve every single day. And that's what I kind of preach. It's like, we're not all perfect. We all have our saboteurs in us. And the goal is to just focus on quieting down those saboteurs, focusing on your belief systems, creating a new version of yourself, creating a positive version of yourself. Because, you know, the energy that you put out in the world, right? Energy is never created or dispersed. It's just transferred, right? That's what Einstein said. So like, if the energy you put on the world, more than likely, if you put out positive energy, you're going to get that positive energy right back, right? And that's kind of where those limiting beliefs were, and that's how I kind of worked through them in time.
Very cool, man. I'm glad to hear that story and grateful that you're able to share that with the listeners. I would say for me, a big limiting belief is just like, man, I don't know the right network, So honestly, I quit my job last week
Nice,
and
congratulations. That's
thank
big.
you, thank you. Super excited about that, but and I'm so grateful for where I'm at. That's one thing that's been a big focus for me over the last year is like just gratitude. I write three things down every single morning that I'm grateful for. So I'm a man of faith in Jesus. I write a couple different things. Hey, like I'm thankful for my morning smoothie, or I'm thankful, for a warm house, warm bed. And then I write something about my faith that I'm thankful for, whether it's like people, other believers that I've developed friendships with, or, something that I feel that God has done for me, or just his love. Like I'm grateful for all those things. But I would say as far as like real estate goes, the biggest hurdle for me was reading all these books. I'm a student by nature. I studied mechanical engineering and I
Mhm.
love studying and learning and growing. I've read tons and tons of books. I would listen to tons of podcasts. I would, do all these things, but I did it in a vacuum and I did not build any relationships or real connections with other people. And so I spent a couple of years learning about it, but never actually doing anything about it, and I got to have a phone call literally yesterday with a guy that, was in my footsteps, a couple years back where I was, and he took the initiative to reach out to me through social media. He saw my post.
Wow.
He's like, "Man, I like what you're doing. Tell me more." And I'm like, "Man, like I'm so excited for you and I commend you so much. If I would have taken that step to reach out to somebody, I didn't even know I needed to do that. I just got so overwhelmed. Like I learned all these things. It's like I can't take down a $20 million apartment complex by myself. I don't know where to
Right.
go or what to do. And it's finally like I joined, a mastermind or I went to a conference and I started making real connections. And that's when the traction started picking up.
That's beautiful, right? That you put yourself out there, you put positive energy out there, you take away these limiting beliefs that you have. And trust me, man, I mean, we all start in that same point. We all start with that first initial, you know, f- you know, light or light bulb or fire, right? And, hopefully the listeners are listening to this, and that's a truthful statement. Like, you know, push yourself a little bit more, put yourself out there a little bit more, give somebody positive feedback on what they're posting, give somebody a positive feedback on what they're doing. You just don't know how both of you can connect and help each other or gain something from each other. Right. And that's one thing that you have to focus on. Leveraging your network is something that most people don't do. Either they're embarrassed, shy, or they have limited beliefs that, like, I used to have. Right. And so I think it's commendable for you to do that, because that is truth right there. We're all human beings. We all want interaction. We all want, kind of to be around one another. And we believe I believe in abundance and giving and giving and giving and trying to help others with not just physical things, but time and motivation, education. And I feel like that just goes a long way with folks.
Yeah, it totally does, man. And I've heard a quote before. It says like pure and undefiled religion is helping orphans and widows, serving other people. Like
Right.
that's what pure and undefiled religion is. And I think
Right.
that's so important, as we progress in this career. And, I'm not doing it for wealth. I'm not, promised or guaranteed that this business is going to be successful that I'm working on. But with my time, with the abilities that I have, with the resources that I am granted, I do want to use those things to help other people and share love with other people, man.
That's a beautiful statement, man. And that's what we're doing here. That's awesome. I think you got to keep going with that same mindset and putting positive energy and positive words out there for this podcast and for the listeners to listen to, because this is truth. And this is all mindset we're talking about here. And that's why I keep saying, like, there's no calculation, there's no numbers, there's no secret sauce. It's really just, success leaves clues, and learning from others like this and what successes they've had and what failures they've had, and kind of taking something from it. I mean, that's the kind of like great positive energy you're putting out there, man. So I commend you on that one.
Thank you so much, man. So that kind of segues into the next aspect of the conversation. So you actually quit your W-2 job as well. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about, how you felt comfortable doing that. What were your goals, while you were still in your W-2? What were your goals with gaining passive income from real estate? What were your goals with being an active investor as well? And then when did you feel comfortable taking that next step? Because that's a big step.
Of course, yeah, man. I mean, before me and my partner, we even, focused on doing all this, we set out a massive action plan, right? We set a massive action plan. And what I tell everybody is, like, everybody's so worried about where do they need to get started, but nobody, ever focuses on, where are you going? What is your destination? And so
That's
setting
the
a
key.
massive action plan, you know where you're going, right? You don't just show up to the airport with no ticket or bags and say, where are we going? No, you already have a plan in place when you show up. And so we started road mapping, on our kitchen table, and just like talking about, like, what are our goals, and focusing on our goals for ourselves, not just of today, but our future goals for 5, 10 years from now. And then really focusing on our why before even talking about our how. Why? Why? Because the why keeps you going on sunny days and rainy days, And so focusing on the why, and then trying to figure out what hows make sense to us. And so when we landed on real estate, when we started really developing a significant kind of single family portfolio, and we started getting a taste of what passive cash flow income is, then it started clicking in our head. Wow, this is more obtainable than what we thought. And so we set out to put our financial security number out there, our financial freedom number out there. And, we were able to accomplish that, number where, our passive investments covered our lifestyle. And, there's different levels of financial freedom that I always talk to everybody about. And we were just searching for financial security, because financial security gave me one of the most important things that I have now. And it's my time. My time is something that I truly cherish. My time to focus on my mindset, my spirituality, my health, my family, and building legacy, and helping others do so. And so those are kind of the things that I would say that drove us into that direction. It's focusing on creating that passive stream, understanding what that means, staying patient with it, on having your map, your massive action plan in place, and just kind of consistently and daily working at it. That's it. There's no secret sauce. It's just being consistent and daily working at it. One thing that I would mention that most people fail to do is that not only they do all the reading, they do all the educating, they even do networking, but they lack not only taking action on everything they do, but they also lack stamping a deadline on that action plan. And that's one thing that I push forward. Commit, commit, commit to the level of self and standard that you want to be in, and just take action with the deadline on it. Whether it's 7 days from now, whether it's 30 days from now, whether it's a year from now, prioritizing your goals in a format where you have, do now, defer, delegate, or don't even do at all. As long as you prioritize that and you timestamp it and you stay consistent with that timestamp, what did Tony Robbins, I like quotes, and Tony Robbins said it best, right? Everybody overestimates what they can do in 1 year, but they underestimate what they can do in over a decade. And so that stuck with me, right? It's not a quick path to freedom, but it's a successful path to freedom that has proven time and time again.
Yeah, and I love some of those things that you said. You mentioned the map method. You mentioned, then setting, so you start with the destination and then you figure out the why, because the destination is far in the future and it's going to be difficult to get to, so having a really powerful why, and then, that's something you can look to whenever the going gets tough, and also like not doing it alone, but having people around you that can encourage you, build you up, help support you, that's also, I would say, a key as well.
Passive investors in real estate are able to receive a check every month. Some people call that mailbox money. We say money really does grow on trees. Visit the website at biggerpictureholdings.com, where we have a ton of free resources to help you learn more about planting your very own money tree.
Man, tell us about how you kind of got into the multifamily space now, and what markets are you focused on? What skill sets are you bringing, and then what is your teammates? How are you delegating to teammates and working with each other to close those deals?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, we got a multifamily space just on natural transition. So our systems were able to scale that way. We have large systems of support and teams around us, and we have a lot of partners. Junior venture partners, JV partners, or limited partners that were in search of opportunities, and we said, we have a great opportunity to take advantage of a market here. We're invested greatly into the Virginia market. And also into the North Carolina market itself. And so we were able to kind of have boots on the ground with systems and teams with support system teams in the area that really allowed us to take advantage and hit the ground running. It's just rinse and repeat, right? And, we've brought on, strong operations teams, management teams. On the construction side, I've built, great partnerships and relationships where we kind of hold construction in-house, and it's just rinse and repeat every day. And we're able to bring in partners, mainly our capital partners from regional area that want to come in and kind of be a part of what we're doing. We understand the market and systems, and we understand different markets have different criterias and different hotspots in self, but we really feel good about where we are right now. I mean, we're in a growth kind of place where the industries here have been here, solid industries itself. I mean, I don't know if you know the U.S. government, but they pretty much pay their bills every month, and so we have the largest military bases here, NASA space here, Langley. We have great, a lot of government contractors that are here, BAE, Raytheon, all of them are here. A lot of, military support systems that everybody talks about, a great tourism spot. And then we got lucky to and fortunate to get one of the largest e-commerce companies out there, Amazon, dedicating $35 billion. And so that's where we are able to focus and scale because of the migration patterns and the median household incomes coming this way, we're able to scale in that direction. And honestly, bringing in my partners, my teams, kind of pushed us in that direction a lot quicker than I even could ever imagine.
Yeah, that's awesome, and you mentioned a couple different points. So, for people wanting to invest in syndication, I would say it's very important to be in markets that do have strong job growth, as well as people moving into the area, and strong median household incomes. Those are all things that you just mentioned that makes Virginia and some of those markets a really healthy place. So are you guys investing in Class C apartments, Class B apartments? What size of apartments are you going for? And what's the typical price per door for an apartment like that?
Yeah. So with us, we're very comfortable. I mean, we're what we call true value adders, right? We have true value add business plans. We're not just kind of buying and trading buildings. And so we focus on mainly C class, not just workforce housing, but C class. We take, recently we just taken a property that, was a diamond in the rough, a couple blocks away from the beach, 50% occupied. And we were able to go in there and not only add the physical value to it, the renovation side of things, not only add the operations side of things were efficiency and vacancies and things like that, but we were able to turn over a community, man. Like that speaks highly of it when we have, the city and officials and the community involved with us in changing over a community that deserved it and things like that. And so we're kind of focused on pushing those systems in place. We've purchased, we're focused on 50 to 150 unit doors in that sense. Price per door depends in the market. I mean, right now, the variability of those price per doors are changing all the time. I'm seeing price per doors at the $60,000 a door up to $250,000 a door. So we're looking at it, and it really doesn't matter to me as long as the overall numbers make sense for us and our partners. And we have a focus on building legacy wealth, and we're not just trying to kind of make money. We're trying to focus on legacy wealth building, long-term investing, and building communities that are proud of the properties that they're living in. So that's our general kind of strategy and plan.
Definitely, man. That's awesome. So, one more question about the most recent property. So, you said it was 50% occupied. So, that would be an unstabilized asset. I think typically the metric is 85% occupied and above would be stabilized. So, what type of debt did you acquire for an unstabilized property, deep value add? You're trying to renovate the property and really bring a lot of people in and get that occupancy up.
Yeah, you're completely right. Yeah, 85% is the line that Freddie and Fannie have set for stabilized assets. And so on this opportunity that we've had, we used bridge debt lending, right? So, and bridge debt right now is kind of a difficult place to be in. A lot of people use bridge debt in a different way, in a different format to push deals through, especially in these hot markets where they believe that growth and rental appreciation were going to be astronomical. And now kind of looking at it now, there's going to be some compression and all that. And so, but we kind of looked at it from the risk tolerance profile and more of a conservative mindset approach. And so we bought some insurance with rate caps, and that's kind of just like putting a cap at a level that the rates can be raised at, by the feds. And we looked at that model, and we looked at that model, modeled it out for the long term itself. And so we partner with solid lending partners that understand our systems, believe in what we do, understand our sponsorship and operating experience, understand block by block, street by street, the properties are located well, right? And so despite having a distressed asset, we have a great location and a great business plan with a potentially a great outcome in the end. And so that's how that form of lending works. And it's not for everybody. It's not for every
Right.
team, and especially say if you got to have your team in place with boots on the ground and people that can hit the ground running, because time is money. And you always want to focus on providing a stable capital preserving asset for all of your investors. And so that's kind of generally where we're at. We focus on that. And that's the way you're able to buy assets like that at this time, outside of doing, cash purchases or seller financing options. But it made sense at the time with the calculations that we had modeled for that one.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, that sounds awesome. It's cool that it's close to the beach. I definitely appreciate you being willing to just talk about that deal. I'm excited for you guys. I guess the last question that I had for that. So obviously, it's going to take time to renovate the property. So, if you're comfortable asking me asking this question, like
Mhm.
typically, when are you going to start seeing cash flows for a deal like that?
Yeah. So typically on deals like that, let's say for regular operations, you would see, you know, depending on how heavy the value is considered, maybe 2 to 3 years down the road, you would probably start seeing a stabilized rent roll and a stabilized operation sheet. On this one, fortunately, because of the systems we actually completed the business plan in about 9 months. And
Wow.
now we're pushing ourselves into a refi as we speak right now. And so we were able to kind of force the value, force the renovations, turn over the community in a short period of time, just because we've had built that systems of support and those teams in place. But it's not easy to do. It's not
Yeah,
for
it's a hustle.
everybody to roll their sleeves. Yeah, it is a hustle, but there is great value, great return potential, great long-term potential, especially in this market right now. I mean, waters are murky. Properties are trading at all-time highs still. The cap rates itself have not kind of opened up at all, and you have to kind of see, the true value adders, the people who actually add value to the property and the community. That's kind of probably going to withstand time.
Definitely, man. Well, thank you so much for talking about that. So the last two things I have for today, as we mentioned before the video started, I'd like to hear a lesson learned or a caution. And what I preface this with is there's just a lot of hype in this industry. And there's a lot of people, they say, hey, I want to learn more about real estate. I want to invest in real estate. And I think there's a lot of people selling snake oil, if you will. So what would be a word of caution or a lesson learned or even a mistake that you've made or something you wish you would have done differently on a deal that you can help educate listeners on?
Yeah, no, like there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of people and things that are not representing themselves to the true full kind of true representation of things. I mean, honestly, advice itself is just, especially with our listeners here who are trying to get the direction, trying to get the focus, is just to start building your systems of support and your team around you. And it just doesn't have to, like, you don't need to go from 0 to 100 and just go start investing in deals. Like, just start, obviously your education, like in this podcast, connecting, networking, talking to folks, building and leveraging your network, going to your meetups, or we do a lot of online meetups to make it facilitate for everybody else, and kind of building that team around you who can give you guidance based on their experience and their knowledge. And then it will help you kind of break through, well, like I said before, those limiting beliefs of investing not in your area, investing out of state, investing with someone that maybe you physically haven't met, but you're, starting to get to know. And what I've learned a lot, man, it's just leveraging your time, leveraging your network, leveraging your income or your capital. A lot of people don't look at those things, but that's powerful in itself to get you a lot further down the road. And those are kind of the advice and recommendation I give the listeners out there, kind of trying to find their direction.
Yeah, those were awesome, man. Thank you so much for that. The last thing, man, I just want to end on a high note. I want to be able to hype you up, and celebrate you and celebrate your accomplishments and really just shine the spotlight on you. So what's your proudest accomplishment in real estate so far, your biggest win or something that you'd like to share with the listeners?
Honestly, man, the biggest accomplishment in real estate is reaching financial freedom, reaching that point that I can say, I've done it, and I can explain to you. And I never, um, recommend anything to anybody that I haven't done myself. And it's just getting, reaching to that level of security and freedom and abundance to where like I keep saying, I get my time back. I get my time back versus being 60 to 80-hour work weeks on the grind in the hospital, in the clinics. And I keep saying that again, it's a burnout equation. And so all, folks out there, especially in healthcare, it's like, we're doing it with our passion. We're doing it with our ethics. We're doing it with our integrity. We're here to help people. But it's kind of, focusing on yourself, on your future self itself, like thinking that you can work until someone tells you can retire at the age of 70 now, and thinking that you're going to retire off of just a 401k or 403b, that's just a lack of financial literacy. No matter how much education you have, sometimes you lack intelligence in that standpoint. So, my biggest accomplishment, I'll tell everybody else, it's reaching that financial freedom because I got my time back, my time freedom. And that was a part of my why. So, going back to your road mapping, going back to focusing on destination, going back to your why, and I stick to that, every day. Those are the accomplishments, especially that real estate has provided me and my family, and that I'm proud of.
It's awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Victor. I've enjoyed it, and hope to keep in touch, man.
No doubt. Well, man, I appreciate your time and energy and effort, man. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep putting positive energy out there, man. I love it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Like and subscribe below. A new episode will air every Tuesday at 7 a.m. Are you looking for more content? Visit our website, biggerpictureholdings.com. And remember, money really does grow on trees.